the Nonprofit Podcast, powered by Donorbox.
Have you ever had a friend who only shows up when they need something? It's hard to be around that person. And when we talk about nonprofits, you do not want to be seen as an organization who only shows up to ask donors for money. So today we're talking about how to say thank you and inspire this year's donors to stay around next year too. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Jena, nonprofit advocate here at Donorbox.
And I'm Cara, fundraising coach at Donorbox. We're here each week with practical actions you can use today to increase donations and take your nonprofit to the next level tomorrow. A few weeks ago on the podcast, we talked about the cycle of fundraising. Fundraising is more than just asking for money. And if we spend time and energy thanking our donors and showing them the impact of their giving, the ask becomes really easy next time. Together, thanking and showing impact is called donor stewardship.
And better stewardship means better donor retention.
Yes, it does.
But earning that donor's trust and continued support is hard work, and it takes intentionality. It seems easier to get someone to make a donation once than it is to get them to stay with you for a long time and continue to donate, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So when you're asking people to change their behavior and make an ongoing commitment over many years, it takes trust and consistency on your part. And that's where donor stewardship comes in.
Thanking your donors and showing them the impact of their gifts at work is really key to keeping them interested in your mission, and it keeps your organization at the forefront of their thoughts. Most donors support 3 to 5 organizations. And how can you keep your organization in their top 5? The answer is stewardship. Stewardship is all about building relationships, and that starts by creating a stronger emotional connection with your donors so that they're more likely to give again in the future, and building trust between you and your donors by being transparent about how they can help and what they'll get out of it. And the result of stewardship done well, you grow your organization by increasing donations, you're increasing your engagement with those supporters, and you're retaining donors year after year.
Absolutely. So we just defined stewardship and explained why it's important to your organization. So next we have a few quick and easy stewardship ideas. You can do each of these right now this week. So we've created our top 5. Cara, take it away.
Yeah, first, say thank you promptly and as personally as possible. What does that mean? Well, take a look at your donation receipts and your acknowledgement letters. And there is a difference, The donation receipt is transactional, and this is the receipt your supporters receive immediately after making a donation. The acknowledgement, on the other hand, is relational. An acknowledgement is a note of gratitude, a simple thank you sent from one person to another. Ideally, it's sent through the mail or a personal email within 48 hours of receiving the donation. And keeping the receipt and the acknowledgement separated in your mind and in your practice is just another aspect creating a good donor experience. But what do they have in common? Well, you can make each of them heartfelt and personal. On your Donorbox dashboard, take a good look at your auto receipt. You can use customization and personalization and add in some copy that speaks directly to your organization and how your supporters' gifts will be put to work. Think of some creative ways to follow up multiple times and in multiple ways to share how grateful you are to have their support and show how you're using their gift.
Tip 2 is this: ask for feedback and opinions from your donors. Help them feel like their voice is being heard and that their opinions matter. So whether it's about a fundraising event or any suggestions on how you could improve the donor experience or operations at your organization or their involvement in your volunteer program, whatever that is, it's really, really important to ask them.
And our third tip is be transparent about what's going on at your organization and what your donors' funds are being used for. Donors aren't always looking for sunshine and rainbows. Even if something's not going great at your organization, it's okay to share that. Authenticity and truthfulness are key here. As an example, I'm working with an organization right now that's looking at closing its doors after nearly a century, unless they raise a lot of money, and they raise a lot of money really quickly. And it's a hard position to be in, but you really cannot sugarcoat that. Hopefully that real urgency and dire situation will motivate donors to step in and support. But I do caution anyone against fundraising with that false sense of urgency. If everything's urgent all the time, donors will really stop listening.
That's a terrible position to be in.
It really is. My heart breaks for them. And I will share that, unfortunately, it's going to be an uphill battle for them because this organization in particular has a track record of very sporadic communications over the years, and they've lost a lot of affinity for the organization because of it, which brings me to the next tip. Tip number 4, be consistent with your communications, such as your newsletters, your social media, your phone calls. If you promise something at a certain cadence, stick to it. And if you don't have a lot to report, a simple campaign or program update will really do. Be sure that your donors know what your organization is up to. Stay in the forefront of their minds.
Absolutely. You don't have to do a lot, but you do need to be consistent. And this makes you and your organization more relatable.
It does,
and
yeah.
It piggybacks too nicely to our last tip. Tip number 5 is to be accessible. So whether that's by email, like Cara said, or phone or in person, make sure you're available to chat and that you're showing face whenever you can. So showing up at those events, showing up at those appreciation things, showing up on video, whatever that may be. It's really important to be accessible. And
yeah, that's a good tip.
Absolutely. And I was working at a small nonprofit when we found out that a notable person in our community became a new donor and decided to donate $200. This was a huge win for us. And the whole team, we were so thrilled. And we knew that we needed to do more than just thank this person and move on. So this is kind of going back to all the tips we just shared with you. We really wanted to make sure that they would be back again, that we could depend on them. We started by thanking them with a phone call as soon as possible after they made the gift, and then followed up with an email that included photos of their work and what their money was doing, which was amazing, showing that impact. And then we included them in our monthly newsletter, which featured a list of our donors that we had every month just to celebrate them a little bit. And then we invited them to follow us on social media so they could really be connected to what we were doing there, and invited them to those awareness and community events. And we sent a feedback survey sometime after that. And this sounds like a lot, but again, it really depends on the cadence here. But the point is, we made sure that they felt like they were a part of our mission every step of the way, and not just someone who had given us money once and then was forgotten about. So then a few months after that, we reached out to ask if they'd become a recurring donor, and their response was really positive. And they agreed right away and even increased their donation amount to about $900 a quarter. So this is just stewardship at work here, you guys.
Absolutely. And that type of support can make a big difference. And it grew from some intentionality around building a relationship with that donor. Thanks for sharing that, Jena. And fundraising is all about relationships. I really can't emphasize this enough. It is all about the relationship. You want to make sure that you're giving your supporters what they need, and you're doing your best to help them feel like they're getting something out of the relationship too. Take good care of the hard-earned money they've entrusted to you, and they'll be eager to support you again when you give them other opportunities down the road.
And once you start approaching your fundraising efforts through the lens of stewardship, you'll really see growth in your lifelong supporters, and you'll be raising more funds to carry out your mission, which is what we all need.
That is absolutely what everyone needs, especially this time of year. So thank you, Jena, for that insight. And I have to say that I am thankful for you. You always do such a great job of making other people feel seen and special, and just grateful for all you do for our Donorbox organizations.
Right back at you. Thank you, Cara.
And to our listeners, we want to say that we are grateful for you. As we create content for the Nonprofit Podcast, we want to do so with you in mind. So what's on your mind? Do you have a topic you'd like to tackle? Scroll down to today's show notes and you'll see an Ask Me Anything link. If you want to have your question answered, all you have to do is click the link, open the form, and ask. We'll only mention you by name if you give us permission to do so. So my question is, what do you want to know? And in this season of gratitude, we want to say thank you for choosing to spend time with the Nonprofit Podcast. I hope you've left with confidence to take a small step today that will make a big difference tomorrow. Don't forget to download and review the podcast, or give it a thumbs up if you're listening to the Nonprofit Podcast on YouTube. Your review is a great way to help others find us. You're here to help others. We're here to help you. So until next time, stay inspired.
People, passion, connection, action. Put the power to change the world in your supporters' hands this giving season. Maximum reach, maximum impact. Feel the fundraising power of connection. Donorbox Peer-to-Peer, helping you help others.